I shall try to do some plain speaking today. Always I am a plain speaker, but I will speak quoting from this text or the other text, etc. Today I will speak in a very plain manner. I don't know what I would speak, but I have a certain idea that I would speak in this manner. In my Purvashrama, I was born the last and the seventh child of my parents. Our family was not at all a rich family, but I don't like to describe it as a poor family because I don't feel I have suffered from the lack of anything so far as a boy is concerned for his growth. In the matter of eating, dressing, getting education, in everything, there was nothing like a lack. So how can I describe our condition as poor? And in my mind, I never seem to have any time felt the lack of anything as such. Somehow the heart and the mind were feeling a sense of fullness, so to say, so far as economic and other factors were concerned. But still, I am leading a life where the subject I deal with is education, enlightenment. So I have many occasions to think about education for the country, for the people, for the students, etc. In that connection, even the other day, I told Rajesh that when I look at my young days, when I was going to school, I always feel there was nobody to guide me. Even the primary needs of education, like a dictionary, I never knew that there was anything like dictionary at all. Any kind of a guidance, you see others educated and then try to understand them, they speak the educated language and all that. My father had learned writing on the floor. My mother was totally illiterate. But nevertheless, she has taught me some Sanskrit verses without a syllable mistake. I was wondering as to how it was. It was because her father, my grandfather, he was a scholar. And from Medini's palace, some of the erudite people used to go to him for clarification, clearance of doubts, enlightenment, etc. He was totally given to Ramayana reading. Naturally, being the daughter, she must have inherited and also acquired something by virtue of her association with the father. That way, she had an influence on us. Why I am saying this? This is so far as my academic education, the normal course of life, is or was concerned. But when I went to Calcutta accompanying my brothers in order to commence a professional life, within a matter of months, the whole picture changed. The whole picture changed simply because I happened to meet my Gurudev, Baba. I am not able to remember when I met him. It was certainly within months of my arrival in Calcutta. That was a time when Purnananda Swami, the later Purnananda Swami, and myself alone were in our family, in our house. And Purushottama Swamiji and the whole family of 4 had come over to our farmhouse in Vadakanjeri. Baba was hosted there. The sight and the hosting of Baba, that meant a tremendous lot of difference in my life. Can I call it difference or a significant beginning in my life? I did not know anything about spirituality, though I was very religious and I had known something about religiosity, but not spirituality. I remember very well, I was sitting on a mango tree along with Narayanaswami, my neighbor, and we were discussing something. So I told Narayanaswami, I am not able to have any interest in anything. No interest. Nothing seems to be interesting to me. Sometimes I feel this is a crisis so far as my life is concerned. I move about with children of my age from my village, but that interest is lacking. You know what he said? He was also given to a little astrology. He said, this is called Vairagya, dispassion. And whoever has dispassion, he will have moksha. The word Vairagya and also moksha came into my life after listening to Narayanaswami that day. Vairagya is necessary for moksha. This was a great investment in my knowledge field. Then I went to Calcutta. Now seeing Baba meant something very significant and positive, especially in the background of my Vairagya and the possibility for being entitled for moksha. Baba's contact had an unimaginable impact on my heart and mind. I always found him stay in a room with closed door. My brother used to go and close the door from inside, and they used to spend quite a number of hours a day. I was wondering what they were doing there. They must have been talking. Can they talk for so many hours? And on what subject? I was wondering. But I did not ask anything. One day I asked Baba, how to concentrate the mind? Oh, concentration. It is the last thing in life, he said. This was another exposure. I had a problematic mind, means a restless mind. I wanted to do something with the restless mind to make it restful and peaceful. When I asked Baba about it in my own puerile manner, simple manner, childish manner, the answer was, it is the last thing in human life. And you are too young, he said. I was too young, and concentration was the last goal in human life. These were two additional investments in my knowledge treasure. Baba went away after completing the visit, but I somehow kept contact with him. I was every day doing scrupulously my Sandhyavandana, morning as well as evening. Morning it will take a little longer time. The number of times I used to recite Gayatri was 108, along with a number of other paraphernalia. It would be something like 30 to 40 minutes. In the evening, the Gayatri chanting would be only 64 times. So to that extent, the duration will become less. Baba had seen me perform my Gayatri, Sandhyavandana, and apparently he was quite impressed by my performance. I continued my contact with Baba, used to write letters, only because I liked him and I had love for him. More than respect, I had love, fondness. So I used to write. This writing stood in good stead in my life. Every letter I wrote, he used to reply immediately, faster than the postal service. Then I had a mystic experience one day when I was performing my japa. Then I thought the time had come for me to get initiated by Baba. This initiation was something I knew about when Baba had come to our flat and my brother was initiated by him. My brother used to keep a diary, a notebook. He had written there, the school of nothingness and primary class. I was wondering, what is this school of nothingness and primary class? Being written by a brother who is quite educated. What is this? School of nothingness and primary class. See, it is written. I saw it. I never asked my brother, what have you written and what is the meaning? So I found that there is something mystic and mysterious about the whole affair. Why Baba came to our flat, brought by my brother, what transpired between them in the form of an initiation, which led my brother to keep a diary and titling it with School of Nothing and Primary Class. This means that we have to be initiated if we are to become knowledgeable or we have to attain something like moksha. That initiation will be the primary level of the new entry. So all that I knew, I had learned, if at all, they were a big zero. And I had to start a primary class of learning into the unknown, the school of nothing. They were not funny words. They looked funny. But I thought there was meaning, purpose in all these words. So I also wanted to have Diksha, and he gave me Diksha. And I grew under that Diksha. All the growth that took place in my life was after I got initiated by him. As I have told earlier also, I told Baba, don't ask me to read any book. You are giving me a Diksha, you have given me. This Diksha sadhana, I will wholeheartedly pursue. And whatever I have to get, I must get from this sadhana. I don't look to any other source at all. And reading is not the way. It is something like a practice. And that is what you have given me. So I will be true to your practice. I will pursue it wholeheartedly. And all the goal that has to come to me or I have to go to it should come by this. And to my surprise, or maybe to my harmony, Baba said, of course you need not read. Do the sadhana. But when the time comes for reading, the book you have to read will reach the table. You may open it then and read. I just heard it, did not respond. And many things happened thereafter. Until I saw Baba, and before long I got initiated, I was the son, the seventh son, born in my family. Seventh child and son, born in my family. I was one amongst the village boys. I was one amongst the literate ones. I went to Calcutta for hunting for a job, along with my brothers. This is all what I was. But after I got initiated and I started doing my sadhana intensely, my dear children, my whole life got transformed. The transformation was very fast, I should say. I had no doubt, I had no skepticism, I had no intolerance. To some extent I was impatient. There was nothing to deter me, distract me, dissuade me, delay me. At that time, I and my brother alone were living in Calcutta in a single room, sublet by a house owner. So we had no problem at all. There was nothing like a family as such. I used to cook my morning food. Very simple. I don't remember. There was no vegetable and other preparations. Then in the evening, I used to go to a mess for eating. After doing my meditation, after returning from the office. So I was very zealous and sincere about doing the sadhana. I don't know how many years passed. 1.5 years or 2 years passed. The initiation must have had its impacts, and I also must have had my own yearning or curiosity. I was somewhat ready to read something. So the book Mundakopanishad, one day I found on my table. I opened it and started reading. I was very good in my Sanskrit study, and I was very good in English also. These were the only 2 subjects which had any little interest or attraction for me. All the other subjects, I found they were not related to my life. But English and Sanskrit were not so. When I went to Calcutta, even before that, I thought the Sanskrit is of no use and consequence. So I bundled up everything. I said goodbye to my Sanskrit association. But when I opened the Mundakopanishad and found that it was in Sanskrit with English translation, and whatever I read was so inspiring, so lofty, so wholesome, so challenging, inspiring, persuading, compulsory, involving, indicating to me by every line what human life is meant for, the whole distance from the Sanskrit vanished. I had to re-employ my Sanskrit knowledge, and the Sanskrit I had so much of affinity for, that found a greater place in my life. I started reading the biographies of Ramakrishna Dev, Vivekananda, Sharada Devi, the complete works of Swami Vivekananda, various Upanishads, all written by published by Ramakrishna Mission. There was a book, Rambles in Vedanta, written by B.R. Rajamayyar. Very good book. All these books I started reading. Most of the reading I did while traveling on the tram. Before going to bed, about 1 hour or 1.5 hours, I used to read. As I read, now I can tell you, I read the most essential and ultimate of our scriptural treasures. Generally, these are books which cannot be read alone by a student. The Upanishads are supposed to be such a lofty collection that you have to learn it in the presence of a teacher, explained by him. But I read all of them alone by myself. I did not even discuss with my brother, with whom I was staying. I read them, thought about them, understood them. They became part of my life. They formed and shaped my seeking. They led it faster and faster every day. I was moving in an unknown direction, but certain clarity I had. The contact and association with Baba became more intense. There were occasions when I went and stayed with him. Maybe Saturday I went. Saturday and Sunday I stayed, and Monday I came back. Baba, I cannot say was a good conversationalist, but he would always speak when called for. And he was a treasure of scriptural wisdom. But I never learned anything in the field of scriptures from Baba. It was not necessary. I heard now and then very few, 3 or 4 or 5 Sanskrit verses from our scriptures uttered by Baba. One sloka is Chanchalang Himana Krishna. That is in the 6th chapter. I didn't know about Bhagavad Gita at the time, but he said it is in Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, Jodayat Kurtumayat. That also I heard from Ashtavakra Samhita. Similarly, here and there. But I used to ask him very pertinent questions about sadhana, the fulfilled seeker, what is the fullness of wisdom, and how will a wise man be. The last question I did not have to ask because I was seeing a wise person in my front. I have said this much. Now I would like you to understand I have something more to say. What is that? Ever since I met Baba, I became fond of him. He must have blessed me also. My contact was not broken. It was growing and growing and growing. And after getting initiated by him, and I was pursuing the initiated sadhana in a full-hearted manner, Baba became everything and everyone in my life. I did not have to look for any other quarters. Neither a God, nor a person, nor any form of existence, agency or otherwise. I was quite fixed. I don't want to meet anybody hereafter. I don't want to see God either. If at all there was a God, a personal God, it was Baba, my Gurudev for me. This I wrote to him once. I think the sight and association with Baba must have reduced decades and hundreds of years of sadhana. Decades and hundreds of years of sadhana. Because I was finding right in my front, my Gurudev. Who was he? I did not know initially. My brother introduced him saying that he is a great Brahmajnanin. The first time I heard that word in my life. I never knew anything like Brahmajnana at all. But my brother described him as a Brahmajnanin. So he was a Brahmajnanin for me. What was Brahman? And what is meant by Brahmajnana? And who, when becomes a Brahmajnani? All these were questions relevant to the subject. My life with him, my sadhana in my own way, my association with him, all these unfolded one after the other, all these concepts, all these goals, all these propositions. For everything, so far as I was concerned, Baba was the pivot, the fulcrum. I did not have to look to any other agency at all. I was so simple, innocent and honest that I had no thought of any further God at all. I was already a devotee of God. It is that devotion that climaxed itself and led itself to my association with Baba. So after having this association with Baba, there was no question of distracting myself with the thought of an impersonal God. It was not necessary. Just see how a contact works, how a diksha works, how association with the Guru works. I would like all of you to think about it. God is impersonal. He is everywhere. But nobody sees you. He penetrates you and surrounds you. You cannot miss his presence anywhere, either inside or outside. Yet, nobody knows you. So God is an unknown presence and a quantity, whereas the Guru is totally known and present. Tell me which is the better of the two and more useful. I had no problem at all to think. All this I am speaking now. Then I was not speaking, nor could I attempt to speak. But this sight and interaction with Baba, it gave me so much of fullness, completeness, assurance, fulfillment, promise, hope, confidence. Everything it gave me. I would like you to understand how the sight and association of a Guru can become everything for the seeker. My association with him, whatever talk he has made before me to my hearing, whatever words of correction, approval, consent or approbation he has expressed, all these are physical facts in my life. I don't think anybody can get such verdicts, such words and such suggestions from an impersonal presence like God. Baba was God with a body, mouth, head, brain, heart and lungs. So he could communicate with me. Everything in my life has been an outcome, has been a flow from me when I got inundated by my association with Baba. Something started flowing from me. Before flowing, it had filled me to the full. And all only because of BA. It is true that my body was born of my parents and they have bred me. But for my parents, I would not have been born. But for their nursing and nurturing, I would not have grown. This is the truth about the body. But this is not the truth about the mind, the intelligence and the soul. When you come to the inner personality, I think everything has happened because of my association with Baba. My association was very intimate. And I always felt I was a receiver, and Baba was a giver. He had told me, opening his heart about every aspect of life which I had to know. I have never found any reservation with him. In the same manner, I also have no reservation. Because I am open-minded, I have no problem. I can commit mistake and I will say, I am mistaken, I am sorry. Both in committing mistake and also seeking redemption from it, I am open-minded. All questions about God realization, Jivan Mukti, self-realization, Jnana, all of them I found an answer in Baba. You know, this Baba as a person with whom I was related, you know, that is an anchor. That is an anchor. When he was living and also when he shed his body, the same anchor continues. You must have seen me. I am not very formal about my association with Baba, or I don't make routine of my worshipping him. Because worship is irrelevant in my case, at least to my mind. I am what he was. I am what he wanted to be. I am a shadow. For such a shadow, will the shadow worship the original object? So there is a kind of relationship which transcends all kinds of routine and formality. my effort was to become like him, to do what he did, which would delight him, please him, and fulfill him. This kind of a rubbing stone he was. I don't think anybody can make God such a rubbing stone. Fortunate are those people who can have a guru like this, and when they have, who can make that contact complete and fulfilling in their life. I am writing. Often I fold my hands. I am writing on Sanskrit compositions of a masterly character, where some of the compositions are not very happy and pleasant. Some of them are even out of tune, I can say. But a poor I, how could I feel in this manner? When I write, I don't know where from the words come, where from the dimensions I strike and seek to express emerge in my mind. In the world of spirituality and mystic spirituality, what I am writing is marking the end and the pinnacle of the journey. If there is a voyage of knowledge, this is the last, the ultimate voyage, where you are heading towards the sole goal, content and essence of the world. What a tremendous book is Yoga Vasishtha Ramayana. And I am writing on the last chapter, the last section, Nirvana Prakarana. What all things sage Vasishtha has said. How is it that the poor I likes to read it? He understands it. Whenever there are difficulties, he discusses. He goes into it. And sometimes I find this is not the meaning. Something else is the meaning. This word I cannot accept. Wherefrom do I get these assertions as I apparently have? I think it is all due to my association with Baba and the wholeness, the fullness, the unreservedness with which I nurtured it in my heart, and I had a reasonable time to spend with my Baba to know. Don't think that I was an explorer. I have never made any notes about my Baba or what he said. Unfortunately, the letters he has written to me are not also preserved. Sometimes seeing Ma record many things, I say, I was a fool of an ass. Even now I am. I had written a Malayalam composition, a very good one, about Karna and Kunti. In a very lofty manner, I have analyzed the relationship in poetry. When Kunti Devi went and told Karna that I am your mother, I gave birth to you, her breast started secreting milk. While portraying it, I have written, for a deaf man, suddenly, this was a lightning thunder which he for the first time heard. This is the simile I have used there. How is it that I am writing all this? Was my life meant for this? But still I feel my first years of education, primarily the school education, if somebody was there to guide it, to help it, to introduce me to books, allied books, dictionary, etc., I think I would have been still more different. But thank God I did not enter into that academic world too deeply. I would have perhaps missed this. I never wanted to be a bookworm. I never wanted to be a knowledge hunter. I wanted to be a simple and fulfilled person. This I have been able to do. Krishna says, Nanavaptam avaptavyam varta eva cha karmani. I have nothing to attain which is not attained. Even then, I remain active. So there are very beautiful descriptions of the lofty mind which has no craving, no aspiration, no goal. This morning or so, or yesterday in the evening, I wrote as a part of my Viveka Chudamani narration, self is an idea, body is another idea. Or put it the other way, body is only an idea in the mind, self is another idea. The truth is beyond both. Ideas are ideated by the mind. So the source of these ideas is the truth and not the idea. Like that, you repudiate everything. God is an idea. World is an idea. I is an idea. You is an idea. He, she, it or they is an idea. Everything is an idea. All ideas spring up in the mind and they also subside. But the source and terminus of these do not. Look for it. You cannot see it. You cannot think of it. You cannot even understand it with your intelligence. But nevertheless, you have to hit upon it like an arrow discharged towards a target. I don't know when I write. When I write, words come from nowhere. My life is only meant to communicate spiritual wisdom, share it with others. Articulation is the first part, and communication in the form of writing is the second part. Besides these, I don't think I have any role to fulfill in this life. This life sprang up from my association with Baba, like a plant growing and shooting the first flower. It comes as a bud, blossoms. Similarly, a bud came up from the plant after initiation and it started blossoming. I left Calcutta, started wandering. As I always say, I love to say, the streets of India alone welcomed me, greeted me, and the invisible providential hands held me, graced me. How could I plunge into such a life? How? Why? By what? I think all the answers lie in my simple, innocent, straightforward, wholesome association with Baba, which was a result of my fondness for him and his acceptance of that fondness. This is what I have to tell you on this great occasion of Baba's birthday. Hari Om Tas. Jai Guru. Jai Guru.